Okay, so welcome back to the session on your data structures. So in the previous session, we discussed about something called as definition related to data structures. What do you mean by exactly data structures is? And along with that, we have seen certain classifications related to that. And no, sorry, we have seen the elementary data structures with respect to that. So nothing but the terminologies that are associated with data structures. Now, in this particular session, we will be trying to complete these two things, that is classification of data structures and operations on data structures. So, so this is what the definition and all we have discussed in the previous session. So this is how, in order to solve a particular problem and to determine what data structures we need to use, these are the three steps that we have gone through it. And again, what are the different data structures that are available in C language for supporting it is also we have discussed it. Now coming to elementary data structures, we discussed about some terminology, something called as data, record, and file. And we said that these are the hierarchy we do have. Data will be, set of data is our collection of data is what we call it as record, and collection of records is what we usually call it as a file. And then we have a primary code that we use it in order to determine the values. So coming to the classifications, we discussed about that there are different types of classifications we have for data structures. The first is something we call it as primitive, and another is non-primitive. And primitive is the one what we said that it is fundamental data types, whatever we have. That is nothing but inbuilt data types, whatever are provided within the programming languages. Using that, we will be creating this primitive data structures. So basically, what are the different primitive data types we have? We can say is nothing but integer, char, float, and all these things comes under that. Then we have discussed about non-primitive. Non-primitive in the sense this is something which are developed or created making use of primitive data structures. Means using this particular primitive data structures, we are actually creating this non-primitive data structure. So how we are doing it is we are using some concepts called as linked list, tag, trees, and graphs. So using these concepts, we are actually creating these primitive data structures. And we also said that this particular primitive data structure is classified something called as linear and non-linear data structure. What do you mean by linear data structure means whenever you want to store the data in a linear fashion, whenever you want to store the data in a linear fashion or sequential fashion, we can do it using linear, or we are not going to store the information in a sequential way. That will be coming linear data structure. And in that we have seen some examples, and that examples are the one which we are discussing. And but to this examples of a linear and non-linear data structure, these are the units with respect to your particular data structure. For example, the second unit is comprises of something called as linked list. So we are going to see the different operations that we are going to perform in the linked list. Along with that, we are also going to discuss about the different types of linked list that what we do have and all will be coming under that. Then we have something called stacks. So that comes under your third unit. Followed that we have something called as queues here. So all these are, each one is an individual separate elements, I mean individual separate unit what we do have. And there are a lot of terminologies in this we do have, and at the same time a lot of different operations that we can perform on them. All this will be seeing one by one when we are visiting this particular units. So here just a gist of it, or we can say the abstract of these particular elements I am providing in this particular case. So first we discussed about something called as arrays, which you people are very much well aware of, as you people have seen in the C programming language. So it is nothing but a collection of a similar data elements, okay, or similar data types. So you can see, or whatever the values you people can store in an array, those values will be all of similar type. So there are 10 elements you're allocating here to store the information. All the 10 will be of a similar data types. So whether it can be either, if it is integer, it should be of type integer. If it is float, or it can be a type of float, but it cannot both, it cannot be same, both cannot be happening here. So that is what he's saying in this particular scenario. The next linear data structure. So here we have seen some limitations also, that arrays of a fixed size, because it is static in nature. So we cannot change the values. If you want to change the value, again you have to come back to the uh, again we have to come back to this particular what we call to the program, and then we have to modify it, and then again you have to perform the operations. And then coming to this particular data elements, we can say that these are continuous memory allocation. This is where we are exactly discussing. So continuous memory allocation is nothing but within the memory, I mean within your computer system you have a hard disk here. Okay, this hard disk is something like 500 GB or 1 TB, whatever you're having, and this is actually internally the memory is actually split it up into in this particular blocks, and in these blocks the data will be stored. And remember that it will not be stored in a continuous manner. Means these blocks, even though they are present in a sequential way like this, but the data whatever you people are storing inside this particular thing will not be in a sequential way. It will be split it up, okay, based upon the memory. Every block will have some size. Based upon the size, that much information will be stored here, and next it will move to the next, and then next, in that way. But it will not be sequential. For example, from the third block, maybe the next element will be stored in this particular block. From here it might be storing in this block. From here it might be storing into this particular block. So there is no sequential order. If it is one by one it is storing in the block, then it is sequential. But we will never store the information sequentially in our operating system, and that is what he's saying in this particular thing. So since we cannot store information sequentially, but he is expecting here sequential order, and that is not possible. That's highly impossible for this. So that is one of the limitation. And same thing, then the next thing what we discussed is that insertion and deletion will be a problematic here. Why it will be problematic? Because inserting an element in the middle of this particular array, whatever your people are saying, sorry, so inserting an element in the middle here, somewhere in the middle here, or removing an element from the outer side, it's highly very difficult. You can do it sequentially, but you cannot delete any element from within with the center portion or some other any like eighth element or ninth element or seventh element. You cannot delete. Either you can do it sequentially, like after removing this element, then this element you can remove, then this one, this. But you cannot do it. Try to remove. You cannot remove it, in between, and you cannot add any element in between. That is what the limitations this array is having. So to overcome this particular thing, we are coming to something called as linked list. So linked list is what we are going to see dynamically, because arrays are statically represented, linked lists are dynamically represented, and they are also flexible. Flexible in the sense you can keep on adding the elements. You don't have any restriction. You don't have to declare linked list, the way you people are declaring arrays, because these are dynamically allocated. Since you people are dynamically allocating the elements, I mean allocating a space for linked list, you can store as much data as you want. So what is the limitation you have here is nothing but the limitation is the size of the memory with respect to your computer system what you are using. That is the limitation. So you have 500 GB of space, 500 GB is the limitation. If you have 250 GB, that is the limitation. 1 TB, that is your limitation. So there is no restriction. That is the best part of linked list. But both of them comes under something called as linear. Okay, these are linear data structures. That is what we are exactly discussing here. And in this, when we are adding it, as I told you, this is a block. Generally, linked list is represented in a format of a block, which is splitted up into two different spaces. The first space will consist of the values. The first space will be consisting of the values here. And if you talk about the second space here in this particular scenario, the second space will be consisting of the address. It will consist of address of next block. What is the next block we have? That will be present in this particular scenario. So something like as I told you, so suppose this is 150, the address is 150, this is 152, this is something 300 or 350, or this is something 355, or this is something 400. So here the first block will consist of the value 1. Now you got immediately after value 1, you want to insert a value that is called as 2. So immediately what happened? You will be allocating a new space, and new space is allocated by the system. So whatever the address is there, that address will place it here, 150, the second block. So it is linking, and this address is what we call it as a pointer. This is a pointer which is pointing to the next block, whichever is available freely. And within that, we are storing the element. And then whenever a new element comes up, same way, the system will be generating this address, and that address will be stored in this particular location. And now again, there is a linked list. There is a link that has been formed. A chain has been formed here. Now we can store the value 3 here. And after that, same way, 300. So whenever all the elements you people have finished adding up in this way, then finally you don't have any other element to add it up, then the last block, whichever you're having it, the second block will be represented with X for representation. But when you're using it within your program, you will be representing that with a null pointer, with a null. Null in the sense that there are no new elements are present, so you don't have to generate any new address in order to store. In case suppose a new element comes up, something, let us suppose 8. 8 is the value I need to add, and then the system will be allocating some space. Let us suppose 1000 is the space, the address space that is allocated. This is the block allocated, and the address of this block is 1000. So immediately what will happen here? So this null will be replaced with 1000, and that will be linked with this particular block, that is 1000, the address block 1000, and here you will be adding 8, and now this will become a null. That is the best part of this. So you can keep on adding as many elements as you want. And one more, the best part of this particular thing is that it is not restricted that you have to add here only. You people can add in the middle. If I want to delete this element, I can simply delete. Do you know how to delete this element? It's very easy. Since it is a chain formation, I want to delete this 3. How can I delete it? It's very simple. So since suppose the address of this particular block is 400. Okay, so definitely this address is present here, and the address of this block is 300. So this is present here. I want to remove this variable 3, means this block I want to remove. So if I want to remove this particular block, what I need to do? I simply have to remove the address from the previous block. And what I have to do, since it is a chain formation, if I am removing this one, so this should be coming forward. So what is the address for this block? We have 400. So this 400 will come here. And so immediately this particular block has been removed. You can see this particular block is removed, and there will be a direct link to this. This block doesn't exist now. So it will be showing 1 here, 2 here, 4, there 5, 6, 7. Okay, so this is the way it is. So it will consist of address for this, and this will consist of address for the 4, value 4, and this will consist of address for this. In this way it will be exactly working on. Okay, I'm using a mouse here. That's the reason the diagrams are not so good. Please pardon me for this. Okay, so we don't have a pointer to represent it. So with the mouse, it is not coming properly. So this is the way how you people can delete it. Suppose you want to insert an element within this. I want to insert here. Okay, after 5, I want to insert a value here. Let us suppose I wanted to insert value 8 here. So how can I insert it? Simply, I will be getting a block here. The system will be generating a block here. Now this address will be pointing here. Suppose the address of 6, this particular block is 500. This one is 300. And this one is supposed, let us suppose 250. Now here initially we had an address something called 500. Now I'm inserting a block here now inside here. So this will consist of value 8. Simply this address will be replaced. So here you will be replacing this with 250 rather than 500, and here you will be writing 500. Now this will be pointing here. This is the way. So in between there is a block coming up like this. This will be pointing to this, and this will be pointing to this particular address. This is the way how exactly it works. It's very, very simple. So that is the best part of this particular linker list. You can anytime delete any element from anywhere, either from the front, either from the back, either from the middle. And same way you can add any element anywhere, either from the front you can add it, either from the ending, either from the middle. That's up to you how you ever wanted to add it up. This is a thing that exists exactly for this particular thing. And the next topic what we have. Okay. So this is nothing but the note is something that, as I told you, what is the maximum limit for adding like this means it is nothing but the amount of memory available with you people. You can see here. So the amount of memory available means if your system consists of 500 GB of space, then 500 GB is the limit. If your system consists of 1 TB of space, then 1 TB is the limit for your system. If it is only your system consists of 25 GB, let us suppose, then 25 GB is the limit for your particular adding of elements, and that is much more higher. There is a vast thing what we do have here in this particular thing. And next thing what we have here is classification of data structures. Coming to this particular classification, in this particular the second one what we have something called as tags here in this particular thing. Coming to the stacks, what we can say here is nothing but it is a linear data structure. This is also one of the one which we have with respect to your linear data structures we are having here. So here the insertion and deletion can be done only at one endpoint. Okay, remember this is what we have to keep. Important note related to this tag is that we can perform insertion and deletion only at the one end. We cannot delete as we can delete in a linked list. In linked list, we can delete from the front, we can delete from back, we can delete from middle. But whereas coming to stack, you can perform insertion and deletion only at one end. Either it can be front or either it can be back. That depends. That depends on what? It depends upon the variable we are going to use here, something called as top. Top is the variable what we are using it here. And stack is also called as LIFO. Stack is also called as LIFO, last in first out. So the last element which you people have inserted, okay, that will be the first element will be that will be coming up or coming out. This is something like this. Sorry. So this will be something like this. This is a stack you're having. Okay, this is your stack. It has blocks 0, 1, 2, 3. Now here you people are inserting an element. Suppose you have inserted 1 first, then 2 first, then 3. Now since tag is what is saying last and first, so whichever element you have inserted last will be the first. So when you inserted it, the first element is 1, the second element is 2, and the third element is 3. But when you're deleting the element, the first element will be 3. You will be deleting 3 first, then you will be deleting 2, and then finally you will be deleting 1. Okay, so this is the way how is going to happen. Now as you know that 0, 1, 2, 3, what is this? If you consider this an array, what is this index? We call it as index, right? We call it as an index or subscript, and that subscript is what represented using this top. So whenever you're inserting a particular value in the array, that top will be incremented. So this is top. Initially top is located here. Then you're adding another element, that is the second element your people are going to add it up. So it becomes top. So top will come here. So top is getting incremented. Now top is at location 1. So top value is equal to 1. And later on what happened? You want to insert the third element. Again, the top value will be incremented here. So we'll add here. So top will be equal to 3. So you are inserting it. Once it is inserted, then top will be representing here. So top is equal to 3. So if a new element comes, it will be inserted here. Now the top will become equal to 4. So this top variable is acting as a index. And remember, when I wanted to delete, now what is the position we have exactly? What is the last element we have here? That is number 4. What is where it is present in top equal to 3. So whenever I want to delete the element, I am going to remove this element first, top equal to 3. Now this element is removed, then top should be decremented. Decremented means it will go to the previous one. So here the top will be pointing to the second position here, top equal to 2. So next element what I can remove here is the value which is present in top equal to 2, the index value 2. So what is that? 3. So I'm removing 3. Once it is decremented, removed, the top will be decremented. Now the top will be pointing to something called as 1. So this is decremented. So 1 it is. So automatically 2 is decremented. Again, top becomes 0. And when this is decremented, top is equal to null. So there are no elements present in this particular location. When top is equal to null, then that means there are no elements that are present in this particular scenario. Now this is the diagram which sample example we are showing you pictorially. I'm representing and showing it here. So as you know, as I told you, stacks can be represented using an linked list. So previously I have shown you using an array. Same thing here also is doing array. So in this array, there are total 10 elements I can insert here. So the first element you're having something called as A. Next element is AB. So this is a subscript, right? Subscript, or we call it as an index. And that is what I'm talking about here, something called as top. This is what I'm talking about here in this particular case. So top I equal, suppose top is equal to 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can see here top. So right now the top is at this particular position 4 and it is inserted value. If another value is coming something like X, Y, Z, I want to add it up. So X, Y, Z will come here and the top will be pointing to this particular value 5. And if another new element comes, it will be added here. And now the top is equal to 6 this way. And whenever I want to delete it now, for example, here in this case, Now I want to delete this particular A, B, C, D, E. This value I want to delete. So what I have to do simply is top equal to -1, 4 minus 1. So top minus minus I had to do decrement top minus minus. What does that mean? Top equal to top minus this. So 4 minus 1 is 3. So top will be coming equal to 3 and this value will be removed from this particular location. This is empty now. And when I remove this particular value, now top will be pointing to 2. This is what exactly happening here. And same way, apart from top, I mean, we have one more variable. We call it as max. What do you mean by max? Here is nothing but the maximum number of elements you can store. So here, what is the maximum number of elements you can store here is 10. Okay, so 0 to 9, that is nothing but 10 elements you people can store it in this particular scenario. So that is what is representing here in this particular thing. So here, apart from this is what is representing here max, which will be consisting of maximum number of elements. So top minus minus you are doing is nothing but this. So whenever top is equal to, remember, top is equal to max minus 1. Max minus 1 because I am, let us suppose this is an array of 10 elements. What is the maximum elements I can store? 10. 10 minus 1 is how much? 9. So if top is equal to 9 means at this position means stack is full. Stack is full. Okay. And if top is equal to null. Null means it is a -1 or something like this. Means all the elements in this are empty. No, nothing is filled up. So here stack is empty. So that I am going to represent it here so that you can see it. Yeah, see, if the top is equal to null here in this case, it indicates that this tag is empty because tag is, so top is representing -1. -1 means there are no elements present in this particular index or this particular array. And when top is equal to max -1, so if the value of max is 10, we have taken. So top equal to max -1 is nothing but 10 minus 1, so 9. That is this top indicates this one. So till here, if the values are present, then the stack we call it as a full. But if the stack is null, top is equal to null, that means no elements are present. Stack is empty. Please remember these conditions because we will be using it in our program. Top equal to null and top equal to max -1. So these are very, very important problems what we have. If you remember them, it becomes very easy and you don't have to by heart them. You simply have to remember it. How it is simple. So from 0 we are going to start. So if the top is equal to -1, so 0 before 0 what we get? -1. So if top is equal to -1, what we can say? There are no elements present in this particular array or stack. So definitely stack is empty. And if top is representing 9, 9 means 10 minus 1. 10 is nothing but maximum. Maximum elements, how many I can store? Initially I have taken na int a of 10. So this is an array A. And in this 10 elements I can do. So 10 minus 1 is 9. So if top is equal to 9, that indicates everything has been filled here. All the values, means all these particular spaces are filled up. So there are no empty spaces available. This is what comes under your this particular thing. So please do remember these two. Top equal to null, it indicates that the stack is empty, and top equal to max -1. So that means the stack is full. And next what we have here is something called as queues. This is something like, the best example for a queue is you people are standing in a queue to getting your movie ticket. You went to watch a movie in a Inox and you people are standing. Okay, I know that you people usually have use your what we call nowadays mobile phones for booking slots and all. That's well and good. But I'm talking about general sense. Like you're going there, you're going to go there, you're standing in a queue or in a line and you're waiting for your turn to get the ticket. So that is what we call it as a queue here. Same concept we are going to apply. So here in a queue, whenever you people are standing in a line, so whoever is standing in the first will be the first person to go out, isn't it? So that's why it is called as FIFO. Queue is what we call it as FIFO. So whoever is standing first, he is the first person to go out. First in, first out. Stag is LIFO. Don't get confused. Stag is what we call it as LIFO. Last in, first out. So whoever is entering in the last, he will be the first to move out in stag. But in the queue, if you forget, okay, queue is whether LIFO or FIFO, simple logic what I give you is movie ticket line. Okay, so you're standing in a line to get your ticket. So whoever is standing in front of you, he is the one who is going to get first. So that is what we call it as first in, first out. It is also a linear data structure. Now in stack, we had a variable called as top, isn't it? But here we have a variable called two variables we have. One is called rear and another is what we call it as front. So where we are using this front, I mean rear here is to add the elements. For adding any element into the queue, you have to use rear variable. And if you want to remove any variable, I mean any element from the particular queue, you have to use this particular front variable. Whereas coming to stack, the removing of an element, adding of an element, you are going to do it using this particular variable. But whereas coming to your queue, you will be using only these two variables, rear and front. Front is used to remove the, okay, so remove a particular element, we will be using front. And rear, we are using it to add the element. Okay. So you may be confused, sir, why front? Front means we should be adding it up. So I will tell you here, this is, suppose this is an array. So we can represent this particular queue using array or linked list. Either you can use linked list or you can use array for representing it. Now here, initially front and rear will be present here only. Yeah. So first element when I'm adding, so 0, 1, 2, 3. So first element I'll be adding here. Then the rear will be incremented. Front will be present in that particular position. Rear will be representing this index. So now rear is equal to 1. Now I'm adding another element here. Now what happened? Now I will increment rear. Next element I will be storing it in a location 2. So that is I'm storing the value here 3. Then I'm incrementing that rear. So rear value will become 3. So that is no, here I think you people have understood this rear and front is nothing but these are the variables we are using it. So here the rear will become, so here I'm storing the information called as 4. So now right now the rear is located at here. Then what about front? Front we did not change anything. The front is representing here. So this is your front and this is your rear. Now, if you want to remove the element from this particular array, as I told you that here, whoever has been entered first will be the first to be removed. So here, who is the first element here? This one, index 0. So here, front will be incremented. So front will be incremented. Front is incremented means right now the front location is 2. That means this particular value has been removed. And then front will be again incremented. Now it will be representing this position, that is front equal to 2. And this element I am going to delete it. Now I want to remove this element means simply I have to increment it, front plus plus. So it will be going back to here. So this element I am going to remove it. So right now at this position you can say that front and rear are in the same position. What do you mean by that? If front is equal to rear, so that equal to null, we can say that the stack is empty, isn't it? If front and rear you people are getting like this, you can simply say that the stack is empty. I will show you. So I hope you people have understood how to use these two variables. Okay, that's the reason we are using two variables in this particular queue, because whichever the person has entered first will be the first who will be removed. So yeah, this is the diagram you people can see here. So you can see initially front in the front. So these are the values we have. This is the index. So I'm using the same index here. I'm using array in order to represent a queue A of 10. So I can store 10 elements here. This is the array A. Now here front, this is the index. This front and rear is what I'm calling it as index. Yeah, these two are the indexes. Now the front will be representing the first element here and the rear represent the next element. Okay, the next element that need to be added. So initially we have this. So you can see the rear is equal to how much? What is the index? Rear index is representing 5 and the front index is representing 0. Now suddenly one element I need to add 45 into this particular queue. So where I have to insert in the end, because they are standing in a line. So he has to stand after 36. So that means what I have to do first, I have to increment rear. So 5 plus 1. So rear is equal to now 6. You can see here right now the rear is located here. And here I'm storing the value. What about front? I'm here. I'm placing it here. Now, since in the queue, what did I say? The first element which came in will be removed first. So you can remove an element only using this front. I want to remove 12 here. So when I'm removing 12, what happens? This will be incremented and right now it will be represented here as front. So you can see here See here, now front is so the value 12 has been removed from this particular location, and front is representing 1, index 1. That means this index consists of a value. If I want to remove this index, simply have to increment here, and this particular value will be deleted. Now front is here. Then if I want to remove this, then the front value will be here, and so on. And finally it will come to this particular position, and front is equal to rare, means all the elements have been deleted, so there are no elements here, so it is empty. Stack is empty. So this is a way we can represent this particular queue. Remember, this is a linear data structure. So you can see here, if front is equal to null and rear is equal to null. Oh, sorry. If front is equal to null and rear is equal to null, then that means there are no elements present in this particular queue. Okay, you can understand simply front and rear. If front is here and a rear is also present here and this element is deleted, means no other element is present, these all are empty. So what does that mean? There is no element present in this particular queue. That means it is empty here. Okay, so that means there are no elements present in that queue, or you can say the queue is empty. Next, we have something called classification. So the next what we have is tree. Now we are entering into something new. That is what we call it as a non-linear data structures. We are coming to something called as non-linear. So as I told you in the beginning, in non-linear, we are going to discuss about something called as trees. We are going to discuss about something called as graphs. Okay, so these are the one what we are going to discuss in this particular scenario. The first one comes as a tree. So basically, as I told you, it is a non-linear data structure what we do have. So what do you mean by tree here is nothing but it is a collection of nodes. What do you mean by node here is nothing but this is represented using circle. A node is represented using a circle, and here the elements will be stored in this particular circle. Okay, when we are programming it, we will not be having that circles, but we have another way of representing it. But when we are writing theoretically, we represent using like this trees. So here this is a node, and this node will be having value. This node will have a value something x, and it will be having like this other nodes like this, and this will be having another nodes like this. Okay, if you see here, there is a single node from where this particular, you people might have seen in movies also, like he will be telling one person will help to three people. Okay, I think you people are familiar with that movie. I don't want to mention that. So this one person will be, second person will be helping three people, and this person will be helping three people, and this one will be helping three people. This is what, that is nothing something new concept or something like that. That is a concept taken from this one tree structure. Okay, so one person is going to help three people and another person is going to help three people. In this way, they are going to help rather than expecting a thank you from them. Same thing is what is implemented here in this particular thing. So this is what he means to say here in this particular thing, tree. Now, let me show you the diagram and then I'll explain it. Yeah. So here, the topmost node from where exactly it started, we call that as a root node. We represent with R. This is a root node. Okay, and below that you people can see this one. This is T1, this is T2. So T1 in the sense nothing but this is what we call it as a left subtree. Okay, and this is what we call it as right subtree. Okay, so the topmost, whichever the node you people are seeing here, we call it as a root node represented as R. Onto that, if on the left hand side, if you are having the nodes like this, non-empty nodes, we call it as a left subtree. And onto the right hand side, if you are having the nodes, we call it as a right subtree. So that is what represented here. So note we have a left subtree and a right subtree, and it is a balanced one. And the best example for tree here is binary tree. Binary tree is the one which is the best example for tree. Binary tree is the one which is a balanced kind of tree, means every node will have two parent, I mean two things, I mean two sides, they will be having nodes and all. That is what comes under binary tree. And one more point which I want to consider here is uh, when you're representing like this, every node will be having something called as a data element. This data element is nothing but the value which I wanted to store. Earlier I wanted to store 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, something like this. So these are the values. These are the what we call it as data elements. And it will have a pointers. Remember, whenever we are discussing about trees, we will be having something called as pointers. Pointers comes into picture. I think you people are familiar with pointers in C. So this pointer, so left one will, this will have, the left subtree will have a left pointer. The right subtree will have a right pointer. Okay, left pointer and right pointer. And here there is a central one. Now this is what we call it as a root pointer. This is what we call it as a root pointer. And this root pointer is the one which will be acting as a parent. You can assume in another way also, like for example, this is your parent. Your parent is having, okay, let's assume that this is a parent. This parent is having two children, 1, 2. Okay, this is 1 and this is 2. Now this particular child, I mean this children is having again two sub children, means for node 4 and 5, 2 is the parent. Okay, I hope you people are getting it. Here this is the parent, this is the main parent. This parent is having two children, 2 and 3. Now 2 again, after a new generation came up, so he is having two children, 4 and 5. Same way 3 is also having two children, 6 and 7. So what happens here now? 3 is the parent for node 3 is the parent for node 6 and 7. Node 2 is the parent for node 4 and 5. Whereas coming to node 1, he is the parent for 2 and 3. Means he is a grandparent for node 4, 5, 6 and 7. And again, node 4 is having two parents, I mean two children's, 8 and 9. So this is the way how we can say something called as parent and child relation. We can also consider, we also represent in that way. So here, which one is acting as a parent means you can say that node 1 is acting as a parent, 2 is acting as a parent, 3 is acting as a parent, 4 is acting as a parent, 6 and 7 is acting as a parent. What about this pair? They don't have any children here. We call them as a leaf nodes. We call these particular nodes as a leaf node. Leaf node is the one what we call it up for this particular, because they don't have any other childrens. They're the last one what we do have. So we usually call that as a leaf node. So I hope you people have understood. So in depth we will go, but this is a new separate topic we have, separate unit we have, so that we will represent it. For time being, you just have a gist of it, abstract view of this particular tree. So remember, if root is equal to null, so that is sorry, root equal to null is nothing but this one. If root is equal to null means there are no elements. If this element is not existing, these all things will not be existing. So that means the tree is empty. That particular tree is empty. That is what he means to say here. And the next nonlinear data structure what we are going to discuss is graph, as I told you. So here also it also consists of graph. The graph also consists of nodes here, same like circles. Only difference between a tree and graph is graph is a generalized version of your trees. What do you mean by generalized means? It is updated version, you can say. So here we don't have anything called as root node. So here also we are going to use circles for representing nodes, and these nodes are linked using this particular links, connected using this particular links. But here, rather than, this is a graph. So you can see that this is not of this order, not something like this. So in trees, you will definitely having a tree node, I mean root node here. Then you have a T1, T2 like this. But here, no concept of parent child. Okay, this is a parent, these are the children. So these are acting as a parent, these are the children. But here in this case, there is no concept of something like parent and child. We are having different nodes here, and every nodes will have that particular things. So it is a generalized version of your tree structure, what we have, and it is not pure. So see, you can see here where instead of purely parent to child relationship between nodes doesn't exist. Instead of this, we have something called as complex relationship. If you see here, can you tell me the relation between these nodes and these nodes? You can't tell. Only things what you can see is if there is a connection between the nodes, you can say that these two nodes are neighbors. Okay, but here in this case, you people can clearly say what is the relation, isn't it? Like this, if I am representing, this is a tree. If I ask you, can you tell me the relation between in this tree? You can say, sir, this is a root node and these are the child nodes. And if you talk about in this case, no, this is acting as a root, parent node, and these two are the child nodes. And this is a parent node, this is a child node. Like that you can say. But if you talk about in this particular scenario, can you tell me which one is parent, which one? It's not possible. Here the relations are very complex. But only thing what you can say here is, if there exists a link between two different nodes, we can call that these two nodes are neighbors. You see, you can see from this node and this node is having a link. So these two nodes are what we call it as neighbors. These two nodes are what we are going to call it as neighbors. So let me show you up. Yeah, you can see the diagram right now here. So here you can see that there are no parent and kind of structures here. As I told you, neighbors, you can see here. So what did I say? If there exists a link between two, if there is edge. So these links, whatever we call it, we can call it as links, or we can also call it as edges. That's up to you how you're calling it. So if two nodes are connected via an edge or a link, the node is what we call it as they are neighbors. So here these two links, suppose A and B is there. So you can say that A and B are neighbors. If I ask you that whether A and E are neighbors, so you can see there is no link between A and E. So A and E are not neighbors, but A and D are neighbors. Same way D and B are neighbors, D and E are neighbors, E and C are neighbors. But if I ask you D and C are neighbors, no, these two are not the neighbors. So this is what all related to. This is the gist of the abstract view of your particular thing. And after that, we have some operations here, the different operations what we can perform in this particular scenario. So in data structures, we can perform different various operations. So these are the one what we are going to see in this particular unit, entire unit. So these are the operations what we are going to see now in this particular unit. The first thing what you are going to see is traversing. What do you mean by traversing is nothing but finding the elements. Okay, reaching out each and element that is present in the particular structure. For example, if you have using an array, and in this array, you're having 10 elements. Okay, 10 elements you're storing it. So all these elements you are going to visit one by one. All these 10 elements you're going to visit one by one. If you're representing the same data using trees, so what you're going to do is you will visit all the nodes one by one. First, you will go to the root node. Then you might be going to the left subtree first. So you will visit this particular node. Then you will be visiting this node and this. After that, you will be going to the right subtree. Then you will be visiting this particular node, then this one, and then this one. That is what we call it as something called as traversing. Traversing is nothing but something called as exploring. So you're exploring each and every node that is present in this particular scenario, all the nodes you're visiting it. Then we have something called as searching. I think you people are familiar with that. Searching is nothing but determining element, where exactly the position of that particular. So within the array, I want to know the position of this element 20, where 20 is stored. That is nothing but I want to know the index. So 0, 1, 2, 3. So it is stored in the index called as 3, isn't it? So that is what we call it as searching. Or whether I want to find out whether the element 30 is present in the array or not. Same in the same thing will be implemented in trees also. You will be trying to find out whether an element is present in the node or not. If after searching entire tree, if you're not getting that element, that means that element is not existing. But if we're searching it, if you're getting it, we call it as that element is present. Inserting, I think if people can understand, inserting is nothing but we are adding the data, we are adding an element. Okay, either in the beginning, ending, depending upon the data structure, whatever you're using it, based on that, you can do insert an element. Okay, inserting is nothing but adding a new data item to the existing one. Deleting, I think you can understand, simply removing an element from this. So within this array, I want to remove an element. It's not possible with arrays. That's not, it's complicated. But within a tree, yes, it's possible. Within a linked list, yes, it is possible to delete those particular elements, either from the beginning, either from the ending, either from the middle. That is the best part. Then sorting, as we have taken example now that we have random data, we want to sort it up in ascending and descending order. So this operation also we can do it using this particular data structures. And finally merging. Suppose you have two different arrays here. This is array 1, this is array 2. You have some two elements in this. You are having two elements, but you want to merge them into a single element. That you can do it using this particular operation. So you will be having four elements, 1, 2, 3, and fourth element. So you will be having total four elements here. So that is what we call it as merging. Now all these things we are going to learn in the coming units. I mean different chapters what we have. So every chapter will be having one topic, something called as linked list. Then we have something called stacks. Then we have queues. Then we have trees. Then we have graphs. So all this will be performing this operation, that is traversing, searching, inserting, deleting, and sorting, and merging. And how we are doing it, you will be coming across this. You will be understanding it, how we are going to do that. So this is all for today's session. So in the next session, we'll discuss the remaining portion of this particular unit. That is nothing but abstract data type and other things what we do have. Thank you. Thank you for watching this particular video.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let me stop.